Hello guys, today we're in Thailand. We have amazing opportunities to be part of the biggest clubs in Thailand, MCP and also Academy, and personally host Coach D, which is absolutely fantastic coach. And the topic for today is actually backhand strokes. And I'm going to demonstrate it and talk about them, so if anyone is interested, please be welcome also to write some comments for specific things. First thing, I want that we talk a little bit about the specific situations of the grip. So in the moment when we want to describe the grip, if I have my normal position of the racket and I have a very nice V grip, and we explain also where is the bottom of the racket before, where it lies a little bit more in the middle of the palm rather going to in the rather going the bottom too much in the middle. It's exactly where there is a little bone, not too close to the fingers, not too much in the middle of the palm. So it's here. And if I have to describe, first I want to talk about the time of impact. So in the moment when everything is around me, I would probably not need to change if I play a straight backhand. So I want you to imagine if this is the time of impact or estimated time of impact. I can actually theoretically just put my thumb up so I can have the power and the rotation, but I don't really have to change. It's more as I want to play the cross, like example, I don't want to compensate too much with the preloading of my wrist, and that's also the reason why certainly if I want to play a straight one, there's no need, but if I want to play the cross one, that's where it comes a change very necessary because of the rotation that I want to talk. So my grip is going to rotate until my thumb comes to the second biggest side of the handle of the racket. How much is enough? That depends what stroke you want to play. So if we talk about, like example, a cut drop, so I want to really cut the shuttle, I would turn it even more to the second biggest. If I play something as a clear, probably turning to the smaller side would be enough. But the estimation, my guessing how good is everything and where is the time of impact would be vital. If the stroke is like I'm being pushed at the record, which many places people call neutralization or transportational strokes, and I have to hit somewhere here behind me, like example, that would mean I have to change even more the grip. So at this single moment, my thumb is on the second biggest side and even closer to the small side, but almost on the opposite big side. So it's much more rotated, so I can open and have all the rotation. Now, before I demonstrate the stroke, I would like to explain it, then I'll demonstrate it, and I'll get to the key topics and specific mistakes. Now, the first thing is starting position. So the most important, doesn't matter is it defense or rear court backhand, I will talk about first getting the starting position. And what is correct starting position? Correct starting position would be putting the racket where the wrist is a little bit lower, not too low, definitely not too low, definitely not too high. And having the wrist preloaded, my elbow is preloaded, so my elbow is not stretched, neither bended too much, it's just enough preloaded. And the most important is that I'm able to rotate the grip between these two fingers, between the thumb and the index finger. And I'm holding it in a way so I can rotate it. And so if I'm in the middle of the middle of the court, and let's say I make my jump and I start pushing, the first thing after the base jump would be to have the starting position. So as early as I push and I already see that I can play nothing else but backhand, I have to take the starting position. Now this is very important because getting the right starting position will allow me to get the right backswing and also follow and make everything in a specific direction. So this is the second thing altogether. So after I take the right starting position, I'm here. Immediately when it comes to backhand, I'm going to find out where I estimate, where is my estimated time of impact. And once I do this, I could already easily find out while I'm moving to the backswing how to adjust the grip. And once I adjust the grip, I can focus on my movement and the rotation. You remember in one of the videos I'm talking about all the movement as the first basic, and that always would be the basic. Everything else, starting position, backswing, adaptation of the grip, only comes after you have a nice movement and nice rotation. But they're because of it. So if you have to adapt the grip, you adapt the grip because your backswing has changed, or you have to do a little bit more opening of the backswing, and that's only necessary because you want to continue the movement and you want to have very nice rotation at the end. That's the first level. The second is where you adapt the backswing and the rotation. So if I demonstrate all together, let's say it comes a backhand clear on the top, I will have my jump, I'll have my starting position. Immediately afterwards, I'm going to start adapting my backswing. That means I'm going to pull my elbow and rotate, and then I'm going to continue everything to the point. So altogether will look like hop, starting position, adaptation, a little bit of the backswing, whatever I want, and then I am pushing all together and rotating all the way. So let's demonstrate now the stroke a little bit, and then I'm going to talk about specific key mistakes which are from the youngest one to elite players. So we're talking about backhand clear right now. And I'm okay. So again, I'm taking a starting position and backswing and pulling all the way up. I'm taking a starting position, backswing, and I'm pulling all the way up. I'm taking a starting position, backswing, and I'm pulling all the way up. And then one more, taking a backswing, and that was actually good enough. Okay, so typical mistake, what will come is first if you're late on the backswing position. So in the moment when you're taking the position, many players will do something like this. They will make the jump, then they're going to hold, then the shuttle is already going to pass them, and then they're going to do everything dynamic. That has two challenges. If the time of impact is around you, then it's no problem, you can immediately do all the movement and you have not a lot of challenge. But the time of impact is behind you. Let's say it's a very fast stroke or neutralization, so it's a little bit more behind you, more likely you're going to be late, or sometimes very, very late. So the first key point is never to hold the time of impact to the starting position around the time of impact, but as early as possible that you can take the starting position. This allows you many times to intercept the stroke rather than go behind it, because if you take stop somewhere here or slow down somewhere here and then you get the backswing, the shuttle is already behind you. Second key point is when the starting position is too high. So like example, especially with the smaller kids, when they're doing something and they start putting the starting position very high for all kind of backhand. We call it adapting the starting position. So typically if you're being pushed from the net, your starting position is going to be lower. If you're going and having a very high, your starting position will be a little bit higher, but it will never be too high, because you need the preloading of the forearm in the wrist and you need the preloading of the elbow so you can generate the power. In the forehand strokes, we can use a lot the hips. Now the kinetic chain of the backhand strokes doesn't allow us this, because when I have the starting position, I can't just start the stroke from the hip as far. This would not allow me to accelerate too much the elbow. To use the hip, I use it as a resistance. So actually many coaches will say that you push the shoulder the opposite direction of where the elbow goes, so you can actually accelerate the elbow a little bit more, because in this case the shoulder is the stabilizer of how the elbow accelerates. So if I am moving the elbow, this is not going to get me a lot more speed. I'm going to get more speed if I stabilize the shoulder, because that will give me a resistance against which I can move. And then of course if I speed up the elbow, my kinetic chain is going to improve and I can speed the wrist and I can go and work a lot with the rotation at the top, and that will also mean I can increase the power. Now this was the second key topic. The third, what many players do as well, is when they preload the wrist the opposite way. So I have to be very specific. Same as the forehand strokes, when you open, the preloading is against the pressure point. So if one of the videos we're talking about opening and preloading against the pressure point on the index finger. This is now against a pressure point on the thumb finger. So if you imagine the fat pad on the thumb finger, this is where the pressure point goes. So if I put my racket and I have it on my fat pad on the thumb finger and it lies like this, look now, I can actually perform the stroke only like this. That's not a problem. I can actually demonstrate it. So I'm going to be in a backswing position, because otherwise I drop the racket anyway, and I'm holding the racket only with my thumb finger as the racket lies on the fat pad, where is the pressure point, and of course the pink and the second finger, which allows me to have a leverage and rotate it. So I'm only in this position and I can perform and do it. And actually I can even accelerate and do it. Why? Because the pressure point allows me to do that motion. So it's very, very important to understand that if I do any kind of a different preloading, this pressure point right now is somewhere here around the pinky or around the finger. So that doesn't help me get any better stroke at all. So when I'm putting the preloading and I have the racket has to lie on the pressure point on the thumb finger. Now this is the third common mistake. The fourth common mistake would be that there is almost no speed of the elbow. As I said before, the shoulder has to be the resistance so the elbow can move and do it. Let's say I'm performing a smash. Now I'll try to demonstrate a little backhand smash. So we can say, so a little bit higher please, and then I'll try to do also cross backhand smash. So again, starting position is the first one, and then I want to do it. So start a little higher, a little higher. Yep, all fine. And I want to do this. And I want to do this. And one more, sorry, one more. And I want to do this. So what I actually did is that in the moment when I accelerate the elbow, I didn't try to continue the stroke with my elbow. I tried to focus on the rotation as much as possible, because the goal as the forehand stroke is how much I can accelerate the head of the racket. So in the moment when it comes and I want to accelerate, I'm focusing on this. If I start moving the elbow or pulling the elbow, I'm actually losing the speed of the head of the racket. If I can move and transfer, it's another story, but it's very, very hard, as much as I'm not able to over-rotate too much on the shoulder joint. Doesn't allow me to do that. So the key on the fourth topic would be how I can control this rotation around the forearm and around the elbow joint. Now, if we talk again adaptation of the grip, this is the fifth thing, is when many of the kids are grabbing really strong the racket. And elite players do the same, and some of them would be able to compensate through a very nice mobility of the wrist, but many of them would have a big or huge problem doing that. And that's also where being able to adapt the grips in the last possible moment, or at least until opening the racket. So if this is my starting position and this is the backswing, until this time I already can estimate where is the time of impact. As far as I already can estimate, I can adapt everything and do everything at the same time. This is very important, so you can actually make a correct adaptation of the grip and therefore make a very nice stroke altogether. Remember, the first part is always movement and rotation. The next part, adaptation of the backswing and adaptation of the grip because of the backswing, is very, very crucial. And then we're correcting the specific topics according to the players. Now, I really hope that this puts a little light on the backhand strokes and gives you a little key points so you can correct. There's a lot more than just those few points, but I think it's a good base. And while being here in Asia and Thailand, we're trying to do a little bit more filming, also for our internal education, but also for everybody, with the idea to give a presence between the different systems and compare what is normal Asian system and Asian system in general and European systems. Stay in touch, and I hope you enjoy it.